Hi friends, thank you for clicking on this video. I'm assuming you're here because you want to learn more about Adobe Illustrator or you are actually a beginner at Adobe Illustrator. Either way, we're going to be touching on some of the basics in the program, such as the Workspace tools and some of my favorite tools. So we're going to start off by taking a look at the Workspace, such as where your artboard is located, as well as some of the main tools. And then we're going to take a deeper dive into the main toolbar, which is typically located to the left of the screen. Lastly, we're going to take a look at some of my favorite tools that I use for nearly every single project. Some of you may know Adobe Illustrator is literally my favorite program. I use it for every single thing that I do, whether that be logo design, branding, packaging, poster design. I literally use it for everything, so I'm super pumped to be talking about it with you today. Let's get started.
Welcome to Adobe Illustrator, my favorite program on the face of the earth. To the left of my workspace here, I have my tools panel, and then to the right, I have my properties panel. Now, you can actually take your properties panel and move it anywhere you'd like. And if it's not visible, you just go up to Window and down to Properties, and it should be right there. I'm just going to do a quick recap about the right side of my screen. Under the Properties panel, under Document, this is where you can adjust your artboard. This big white space here is my artboard. I can click on Edit Artboard, and I can adjust the size manually, like this. Or I can adjust it up here by typing in a different value. Now, I like to keep my workspace pretty clean, I will say. I don't have any ruler or grids on, but if you do want to put those on, you can just simply click the ruler, click the grid, and the transparency grid as well. But I just keep all of those off. Moving on to the left side of the screen, I'm going to be walking through every single one of these tools super quick. I am going to do a more in-depth video, but for right now, I'm just going to go through these really quick and then touch on some that I use most often. So right here is going to be your selection tool, and the shortcut for this tool is V. This allows you to just select entire objects within your art space. So if I have a circle here, let me make it black. I can click on it, I can move it around, I can make it bigger or smaller. And I can also rotate it with this tool. This is the direct selection tool, which allows you to adjust anchor points and such. This magic wand tool selects objects with similar appearance attributes. So if I have several circles, as such, I'm going to delete this one and say 2 of these circles are red. I can use my magic wand tool and click on the red circle, and it will select both red circles. We have our lasso tool, we have our pen tool, which I will be diving into later on in this video. I have curvature, type, line segment tools, which if you hold and click on it, you also have your arc tool, spiral, rectangular grid, polar grid. This is where you can find all of your shapes. So you find the rectangle, the rounded rectangle tool, ellipse tool, the polygon, star, flare, etc. Paintbrush, your shaper, eraser, and under eraser, you can also find scissors and the knife. This is the rotate tool or reflect tool. Scale, width, free transform, shape builder, perspective grid, mesh, gradient, eyedropper tool, blend, symbol sprayer, column graph, artboard, slice, hand, and zoom. I'm going to be talking a little bit about this guy right here. With my red circle selected, you can see that it has a red fill and no stroke. But if I clicked on the stroke and then clicked color below, this panel will pop up. Now you can choose from a swatch to change your outline, or you can adjust it here. Say I want the outline to be black. It now has a black stroke. And whichever square is front facing, whatever square is up front is the one that you are able to change. So right now I cannot click this and then change the color of the fill. I'm going to bump up the stroke a little bit just so that we can see it clearer. If I wanted my circle to have a black fill and a red stroke, I would select the circle and then I would click these arrows right here and it would swap the fill and stroke for me. If I no longer wanted a stroke, make sure the stroke is selected and I would click none and it would disappear. Now I'm going to run through the Pathfinder tool really quick. You can find the Pathfinder by selecting an object or two and going over to the right side of the properties panel, and it's going to be under Pathfinder. But this is only showing you 4 options, so you can click these little dots and they will appear here. But what I like to do is go to Window, down to Pathfinder, and it pops up in its own window like this. I'm just going to be talking about unite, minus front, intersect, and exclude for this particular video, but I will do an in-depth dive about every single one of the Pathfinder tools. So for this first one here, I'm going to use the selection tool to grab my 2 squares, and then I'm going to click unite. And what that's going to do is make this into one cohesive shape. It will take on the color of the shape that is in the front. Now for the minus front tool, it's pretty self-explanatory. It does exactly what it says it's going to do. It's going to take away this part of the yellow square because it is the one that is in front. And you're left with this upside down L shape. Or the intersect option in the Pathfinder tool, I'm going to select, and then all that we will be left with is this square right here. The last portion of the Pathfinder tool, we're going to select the squares, and I'm going to click exclude, and we're going to be left with everything except for this square that is overlapping of the 2 shapes. Another tool that I use quite often is the pen tool. I'm just going to do a really super quick demonstration of this tool because I do want to go into a little bit of a deeper dive with it on another video because it is kind of a lot to grasp at first, and I would love to put together some worksheets for you guys to practice on. But basically, I don't really use the pen tool when it has a fill on it. I really like to just keep it a stroke, so I'm just going to click on none down in my panel right here. And then I'm going to click on the pen tool, and you start off by just clicking once, and then you have this blue square here, and that is your first anchor point. Now you can hold the shift and click to make it straight lines in any direction, or you can let go of shift and you kind of click and pull, and it creates this curve. It's a little bit hard to grasp at first, but I promise you, if you just practice, you'll get the hang of it. So what I'm doing, I'm really just clicking and dragging, and wherever my cursor goes, the line kind of goes the opposite. It's kind of like a magnet in a sense. So you just really click and drag, and it just takes practice. You guys will get used to it. Just practice, practice, practice. Obviously, this is another tool that I use a lot, the text tool. And when you have the text selected and you make your own text box, this character panel opens up for you. And in this area, you can choose what text you like. This is one of my favorite fonts at the moment. And I like them bold. This is your paragraph panel. So you can center align, left align, right align, and all that fun stuff. The last thing I will be touching on in this video is the shapes. So First off, we have the rectangle tool. Obviously, it just gives you a nice rectangle or a square if you hold shift. So I made this by holding shift and pulling down. But if you don't want a square, you don't hold shift and you can just make whatever sort of rectangle you want. And if I hold down on the rectangle tool, I can get a rounded rectangle. And the corners here will be rounded. We've already touched on the ellipse tool, so you can either hold down shift to make a circle, or you can not hold down shift and you will come with an oval. And the polygon tool, so the standard is a octagon. Am I right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, this is a hexagon. So the standard tool, the standard shape of the polygon tool is going to be a hectagon. And if you want a polygon with more shapes, then when you select the polygon tool, instead of holding shift and clicking and dragging, you just click once, and then this polygon panel will pop up, and say I want it to have, I'm going to get crazy, and I'm going to say 15 sides. You will get a polygon with 15 sides. Next tool within these shapes is the star tool, and it works very similar to the polygon tool. So the standard shape for this is obviously a star. If I just click once, this little panel pops up and I can actually put it down to 3, and now I have a 3-sided shape that I can play with. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys learned something that you didn't know before. Please stay tuned for more videos about certain tools. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more from me.